Hey everybody, Don here again, and welcome back to Ragged Edge Lure Works. Well, today I've got something that's pretty exciting, at least for me. Earlier today, a new young friend of mine, Nate, who is one of the newest members of the Granite State Kayak Anglers, brought me this and asked if I could paint it. And you guys may recognize this. This is one of the Bucca baits. This is a Bull Gill, and this is a 6-inch version, 3-piece. I guess that makes it a wake bait here. And I've always wanted to get my hands on one of these things, but this blank is like 75 bucks. I have a hard time justifying that. To be honest with you, I'm not overly impressed with the quality of this blank. You can see the scales. Some of them are well defined, and some of them have, I don't know, whatever the blend is that they use on that kind of filled in. And then, you know, the joint on the back is really kind of crappy looking, but these things bring big bucks. And and from what I understand, they really catch fish. And you guys know the big swim bait craze is wild. I'm a victim of it myself. So I'm going to try to paint this up in a bluegill pattern. I'll show you what Nate brought me and kind of what he wants me to do. So hang tight. All right, so here's the pattern Nate wanted me to paint this thing with, and I feel like I can do a really good job on that. Just basically a bluegill pattern. Nate's a pretty easygoing guy. He said, whatever you come up with, I'm sure is going to be fine. But I'm going to try to replicate this as closely as I can. All right, so before I even start painting this thing, I wanted to make sure that I could epoxy it without the joints coming into contact with each other. It's weird because this bait has a swivel eyelet in the back and the tail. I messed around with this thing for probably 2.5 hours last night before I finally came up with this method. And as you can see, I've got daylight between the joints all the way around. So get some masking fluid for the eyeballs, and I'll get to painting. Oh yeah, that's just a counterweight to keep that thing from flopping, and it seems to be holding good. I've run this thing around probably 50 rotations and it hasn't moved, so we're going to be in good shape. All right, well, this is a first for me. I've got this masking fluid. This bait has these big rounded eyes, and I didn't want to pull them off, so I was afraid I didn't want to mess them up. But I don't really feel comfortable painting around them or taping them, so I got this art masking fluid, and what I'm going to do is paint those eyes with this masking fluid. If I can figure out how it opens. Oh, just almost childproof. Oh, I thought there would be a brush. Okay, I got a brush. I don't know if this is the right size or not, but the idea behind this is you paint these eyes with this masking fluid, and it turns kind of to a rubbery material that you can then paint over and remove quite easily once the lure is completely painted. So I'll let that dry. We'll put another coat on it, and yeah, get to painting. All right, so I've got the bill taped up, and I've got the eyeballs covered with that masking fluid, which is a liquid latex, and it has dried and it's nice and clear, but trust me, it's on there. So first thing I'm going to do is prime these things up in opaque white. I'll be using the opaque white, some 4011 reducer, and also some 4030 balancing clear. I'm not going to show you that process. I'll show you what I'm doing once I get to putting on colors, so we'll do that first. All right, here we go. Time to mix up a fresh bottle of Pearl White with a little reducer and some 4030. Mix this up good, and then we'll put another coat on this thing of pearl. All right, let's start from almost the back and start putting some pearl on this thing. Boy, this thing is, these recesses are so deep that the paint kind of puddles up in them, and there's some areas that just don't want to get covered. I thought this thing was a raw blank, but I could tell it had had some paint on it before, and that's kind of why some of these pockets seem to be I think there was excess paint in it from a previous paint job. But it's a rough blank. Let me dry that, and then I'll work on that tail section. All right, so I put this little stencil on there. Now I'll throw a little more pearl on this part. What I'm gonna do now is just put a little bit of yellow here, then I'll flip it over, put a little bit of yellow there. I've got the brush turned down. I'm gonna turn my pressure way down. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of yellow here. Give that a little heat set. All right, I decided to do something a little different. We're gonna go with the moss green first. So I'm gonna come across the back. And try to stay away from the tail. And come down fairly lightly on the sides. Well, I got so wrapped up in what I was doing, I forgot to turn on the camera, but I've got this thing covered in mesh. I put the green on the back and the sides, and then I came in and did some bars. Totally forgot to turn on the camera. But this is where we're at right now. I'm going to take the mesh off and we'll do the big reveal. I still got a lot more work to do to this thing, but let's see how it looks. I'm not too unhappy with that. I hope Nate likes it. I still got to do the head. And I got to do some work on the belly. I'm going to put a little bit of blue here on the tail, and then I'm going to put some orange up here, and then I'm going to put some blue here. I'm going to solid this up a little bit where these gills are, and then I'll put this ear flap on, and we're going to darken up the back a little bit too. So next step, I'll tell you what, let's darken up the back a little bit. Let's see if I can get that to stay in one spot. All right, let's darken up this this back and get rid of some of those scales. I still have the airbrush turned way down just because I don't want to blow this thing out. And I'm going to put a little sepia on that as well. I've got that thing propped up again. I've cleaned out the airbrush, and I'm just gonna put a real light coat of sepia down the back just to darken up that green just a little bit. Here goes. That's just to kind of bring those bars together just a little bit. I'm just gonna touch those bars a little bit. Just at the top. Just to kind of tie them in. All right, that looks good. Little orange up next, and then we'll work on the head. All right, so just gonna put a little bit of orange right here. And that's it. I mean, the picture didn't have a whole lot of orange on it, so we're getting close. I'm gonna put a little blue on the tail, and then I'm gonna do these gills in blue, and then the ear flap, and that's it. I think it's coming out okay. All right, just going to put this stencil. I decided not to tape it. And that's all she's gonna get right there for blue. And that's gonna have to do. All right, well, the paint job is done, and I just sent a picture of it over to Nate, and he loves it. Says he thinks it looks fantastic. And in my mind, that's all that counts. So I am going to take the latex off the eyes, untape the bill, and maybe I'll leave the tape on, and then I'm gonna get it clear coated and on the rotisserie. We'll come back when it's all done. All right, well, here's the end result. And although I may not have duplicated the picture that Nate sent me exactly, I think I gave him a pretty close approximation of what that bluegill would look like. So he loves it from the pics, so I'm delivering it tomorrow, and well, we'll see what he thinks when he puts his hands on it in person. What do you guys think? Did I come close? We'll see. There's my guy. Hey, Nate.
What's up, Don?
You got that new trailer, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a couple of accessories I gotta go put on it.
Awesome. You ready to
this weekend.
see this lure?
Yeah, I even
in
brought
person?
you a bull shad sticker.
Ah!
So
No
you
way.
can have a little sticker.
Well,
that's awesome.
tell me what you think, man.
Yeah, you did a killer job, man. I'm really excited to throw this. I mean, I can't believe I was going to throw it as bone.
Yeah, right. I didn't realize it had paint on it when I first got it.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at it. Some of those scales were really kind of filled in.
Right.
And I wasn't sure what. And then I held it at an angle. Oh, I could see it had some paint on it. So, hey, if you're happy with it, that's all that counts.
I think you did a killer job. Basically exactly what I was hoping for.
I appreciate it.
That's amazing.
Now, this is what it's going to cost you.
Okay.
I need to see some pictures of big bass
Yeah.
with that in their mouth. So,
I think so.
all right,
I think
cool.
that'd be a cool picture.
Thanks,
Awesome.
man. Thanks for the
again.
opportunity.